So what actually got me on?
I am working on
You absolutely are.
just like the only system.
I didn't know that. Well,
Good morning, it's 9:30, so I will call the Waseca County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Could please silence your cell phone and stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is the nomination for the 2025 Board of Commissioners Chairperson. Are there any nominations for the 25 Board Chair?
I would nominate Doug Christopherson for board chair.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? No other nominations. I would look for a motion.
Motion.
I would second.
Motion by Commissioner Milbrecht and second by Commissioner Malter. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's a whole other. You want to know? You ready for it?
Somebody already wrote their students down here.
Relative planning. We actually have snacks I each one this.
I go.
Yeah. Wow. Then we have a little chair.
Oh, it's just. I don't know.
Can you get that?
And Dean wouldn't have been.
Oh,
You need your shifter.
I'm up here. Do you want me to move the signs? Or move the? Thank you for your patience.
True.
Dean, please.
Take that, yes. There you go. Well, thank you.
See how good it's shuffling.
This year will be the one.
Okay, so now, thank you for your support, Chair, or Board, for putting your faith in me for this 2025. Now I will ask for nominations for Vice Chair. Are there any nominations for Vice Chair?
I would nominate Commissioner Malter, Vice Chair.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? If not, I would look for a motion to, for Commissioner Malter as Vice Chair.
I would make that motion.
Or, is there a second? Second. Moved by Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Milbrecht, to nominate Commissioner Malter as Vice Chair for 2025. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. I'll lean on you a little bit.
We're gonna lean on each other. We've got a lot of work to do.
All right, so with that done, we will move on to we're swearing us in the new elected officials.
yes.
All right. Lots of state here.
Commissioner Christopherson, you're up first. Step forward. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Doug Christopherson, do solemnly swear
I, Doug Christopherson, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
and that I will faithfully execute and discharge the duties,
I will faithfully discharge,
execute and discharge the duties
of the office of County Commissioner,
of the office of County Commissioner,
District 1,
District 1,
in the County of Waseca, Minnesota,
in the County of Waseca, Minnesota,
according to law
according to law,
and to the best of my ability and understanding.
to the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations. All right, we'll get your signature. Commissioner Hargett. Good morning. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brian Hargett, do solemnly swear
I, Brian, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully execute and discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully execute and discharge the duties
of the office of County Commissioner,
of the office of County Commissioner,
District 2,
District 2,
in the County of Waseca, Minnesota,
in the County of Waseca, Minnesota,
according to law
according to law
and the best of my ability and understanding.
and the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. We will move on to public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? Right, if not, we will move on to approval of agenda. Is there anything added or subtracted from the agenda, Commissioner Moore?
No, sir.
Commissioner Hargett?
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Krause?
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Mulder?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anything from administration?
No, sir.
Right, then I would look for approval as it is presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second by Harper.
second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of county board minutes. We have work session from December 17th. Have board minutes from the morning of December 17th and minutes from the levy hearing minutes on the 17th. And our special meeting December 31st. There's not any corrections. If you've had a chance to look at them, I'd look for a motion to approve them as a slate.
I would move them as a slate, Mr. Chair.
Second by Crowley.
By Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Krause to approve the county board minutes as a slate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Fund transfer. Road and Bridge Public Works. 2024 transfer of development rights report. And Jeff and Jenny Johnson transfer of development rights. There's a chance to look all that over. Look for a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
There a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carries. All right, looking right along. Action items. Approval of 2025 board calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have a number of items today, being the first meeting of the year, just that are customarily done. And one of those is approval of the 2025 board calendar. Obviously, other things will be added to your schedules, nor is this an exhaustive list of all of your requirements for the year. However, it at least outlines the major board commissioners meetings as we currently know them. So we would look for approval from the commissioners for the 2025.
Okay, if all you guys have had a chance to look at it, if there's any questions, otherwise I would look for a motion to approve the calendar. Motion to approve.
And I would second.
Moved by Commissioner Hargit, second by Commissioner Malter to approve the 2025 board calendar as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to Waseca County Board Committee assignments.
Similar in scope, Mr. Chair, something that is done at the first meeting of each year. I've had the opportunity to have several meetings with yourself and other commissioners, getting them in place for 2025 with their various internal, countywide, area-wide, and state, federal, national representations. So it's the finalized version of that work and that effort. So I'll turn it back to you for discussion.
Okay, is there any discussion? Any conflicts to the assignments? I tried to meet with you all. Hopefully it's works out to your guys' satisfaction. If there is no questions, concerns, complaints, I would look for a motion to approve the committee assignments.
I would move to approve the Waseca County Board Committee assignments, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, been moved by Commissioner Crowley, second by Commissioner Milbrook. Discussion.
I think we took off the Waseca tourism. Am I not seeing it on here? Did we take that off?
Not noticeable.
It's
Area-wide, it's under South Minnesota Tourism Association.
Okay, I need to go down.
area-wide, not county.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Tourism Association.
Okay. All right, I'm good, thank you.
We did add a couple this year. We split out the EDA and Planning and Zoning Committee, subcommittee, because the EDA has gotten more active and we're hoping to be more active in that monthly meetings there. So. Okay, any other discussion? So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, same sign. Your jobs are assigned. C, resolution 2025-01, designation of official newspaper for 2025.
Thanks, Mr. Board Chair. I will take this on back in this meeting today, but again, one of those customary actions that statutorily the county needs to designate an official county newspaper that is reasonable distribution and can increase transparency and accountability for our organization itself. So the publications we have, public hearings, etc., would primarily go to this designated newspaper. Obviously, we always have the ability to utilize more, but at a minimum, we have to have an official county newspaper selected for our official notifications and publications So we did receive some bids from 3 different organizations. One is a banded bid from the Star Eagle. But you have the information in front of you. You've seen it as well. So again, just turn it back to you for further discussion.
Is it, got a question for
Sure.
administration. Is that a line item in our budget? That,
It is, yeah.
and,
And it varies every single year.
yeah,
So it is somewhat of a placeholder, and it's not an extravagant amount. But oftentimes we make the effort to publicize, I'd say, but we also utilize our website as well as social media to deal with some of these other publications. On average, a publication is going to be between $100 and $150. If it's a notice of public hearing, and then we receive back an affidavit of that public hearing.
discussion. There was some extra information that was sent. Did everyone get a chance to look at that?
Yeah, can I just touch on that for a second, Mr. Chair? Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. But so as part of this process, I reached out to everyone that submitted a bid and asked if they had any additional subscriber info that they wanted to provide to help make a better decision in this process. So this deviates a little bit with our normal low bid process. So if it was just to talk through that for a second, in this particular statute, there isn't anything that is committing to a low bid. There are other factors involved. Some of that is the board's ability to determine what an overall take rate would be for subscriber count would be. How many people can we reasonably assume will consume the information based upon the outfit or organization that we work with? So there are other factors that go into that. Historical precedent also goes into that. So I just want to make that clarification. So I did send you all of that information in addition to this packet that outlines our subscriber counts for these various organizations.
That is helpful. I think there's got to be some other factors because there is no minimum requirement by statute on circulation.
No, it's kind of a murky language. It just basically puts the onus upon the board to determine whether this is a paper of circulation, if it is readily available.
I think there, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe in the statute, there is a requirement for a time of publishment. You have to have published for a certain length of time before you qualify to put in a bid. But, and I know all these three have
They would
met that qualification. That's really the qualification, the only qualification.
Exactly.
What is the board's wishes?
For the sake of discussion, I would move that we select Waseca County Pioneer as our paper, and I would move that for discussion purposes.
I would second that, Rosie. So moved by Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Rosie to accept the Waseca County Pioneer for as our official paper. Is there any discussion? Go ahead.
Having been a regular subscriber to all 4 papers that are published in the county. First thing I want to say is we're very fortunate that we have a paper. There are many suburban counties that have no paper that publishes there. And we have 4 papers that publish within our county. We are fortunate to have the problem of having to pick. With that being said, I look at what it costs according to the index that we use, and appreciate the work staff goes through to give us a uniform look at cost. But then I'm also looking at the additional information shared. And while the Star Eagle does have the most number of subscribers and the lowest cost. It really does focus on the southern part of the county, and being someone from the northern part of the county, I appreciate the job they do and I have subscribed regularly to them. But that paper does not focus as specifically county-wide. The Pioneer has more than twice the subscribers that the county news has. They have, their cost per subscription is lower, and which is one of the reasons why they have more subscribers, but also makes subscribing to it for the average citizen more fiscally possible. And if we're looking to get the most number of people to know what's going on, it seems to me that is it's going to cost us a little bit more, but it's going to do the job we need to do countywide in a better way.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? If not, I would call the question. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, move on to D. Resolution 2025-02. Designation of county website as a 2025 official publication for transportation projects.
Good morning. Thank you. Also, couple housekeeping items, annual housekeeping items for me as well. Building up most recent action here of the official newspaper being Pioneer. I'm here to ask you to designate the county's website as the official publication for transportation projects. So, we've been doing this for the last 3 years, starting in 2022. Since then, it provides me the most flexibility in my advertising schedule and schedules for contract awards of our road and bridge projects, and and it works very well for that. And not looking to offend any newspapers in the room, but contractors and bidders are certainly using online resources to seek out construction projects and plans and bids, and it aligns with our online bidding that we're doing as well. So, looking for adoption resolution 2025-02.
I have a motion.
So move, Carter. Second, no, go ahead.
Been moved, seconded to a resolution 2025-02. As the city county website is the official publication for transportation project. Is there any discussion?
Just one brief comment. I would have a problem with this if we had any paper here that could publish daily, but we don't. And expediency in bidding process is essential, particularly for what you do in your department. And so I'm glad this is working well. I'm glad that it requires us to also publish in the paper that this is where you're going to go look.
Yep.
So that at the beginning of the year, everybody knows that. But we do, when it comes to this kind of money and oversight, it's important that we be able to do that on our timeline. So.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Okay, are you gonna stay up there for the bridge?
I can sit down.
Priority?
Yeah, I am. The resolution 2025-03 is another annual housekeeping item, our 5-year bridge priority list, bridge replacement priority list. So this identifies structures that are planned or programmed for replacement in the next 5 years. Meets some statutory obligations. We send it to state aid, who also uses it as a tool with our legislature to promote the necessity of bridge bonding at the state level. Access fund all of our structures. Currently that balance is 0, right now it's October. Luckily, our 3 bridges for this year are funded. Good to go, but we'll be hoping for some sort of bonding bill in 2025 here, but we'll see. Otherwise, bridges might go a little bit stagnant across the state. But again, this identifies our needs and in the 5-year outlook. And the same.
Is there a motion for resolution 2025-03?
There is.
A second.
Moved by Commissioner Milbreath, second by Commissioner Malter to approve the bridge repair list. Priority list. Discussion.
Mr. Chair,
No.
Jim, have these changed since 2023? Has this list shuffled at all?
Absolutely. We've replaced a few bridges since 2023, and as they become eligible or nearing eligibility, I add them to kind of year 5. So the last one there, was 88503, just came on the list this year. Just kind of dipped below that 60 threshold of the LPI Local Planning Index. That's basically our score out of 100. Once it hits 60 or below, it's eligible for replacement, eligible for state bond money for replacement. That's when they kind of find their way on the list.
But the bridges that we've done obviously are off the list.
They're
Have
off
any
the
of
list.
these got ahead of the next one, or is this how it's been stacked?
Oh, well, for example, the County Road 55 bridge was slated for next year. We were able to move that into this year, and then the 8497 on Old 14, that moved from this year to next year. Just again, until that in previous board meeting, we're working on 8497 in-house and just using it as a training project for new staff and should, so I haven't slid a year, but yeah, going up to, yeah.
Yeah, so do you feel like, I knew when you came on 3-4 years ago, you know, the bridge list, has it been 4 now? 3 now, okay. Was a priority, because we knew we were, are we making some headway? Is there quite a few below this?
No, this is it. I mean, these are our eligible bridges.
Yeah, but I mean, is there some close to getting on the list?
After this, we're in really pretty good shape. I mean, we might be we're in very good shape.
Okay.
We've eliminated all the township structures that are eligible, that were eligible. Replace those. And, you know, as structures age and the list will never go away. Right. Or if it does, it'd be very short time. We'll keep working on it.
Okay, good. That's what I was curious if we were making headway at catching up.
Yeah, after this year, the top 3 will fall off the list. So this construction year.
Look, pretty good. So we can find some more replays.
Yep. Yeah, we need some more cash.
Okay, is there any other questions for Jim? If not, call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. F, set 2025 mileage reimbursement rate.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Another one of those annual items. This was a 30-cent increase from the federal rate in 2024. It was a good question that was posed to me a couple of days ago. This is not just reflecting the cost of fuels. When the Fed puts this together, it captures all the fixed and variable costs that includes vehicle, personal vehicle use for driving. So just a good reminder there. We'll ultimately would recommend staff recommend that we model the federal reimbursement rates of 70 cents per business mile used for personal vehicles in 2025.
Okay, thank you. Is there a question or I look for a motion?
So,
For a second?
Second by Crowley.
Move and seconded to approve the mileage rate to mirror the federal international revenue service. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to G. Appointments of citizen boards and commissions. How are you today?
Good self.
Good.
Okay, so we do have two members of the Board of Adjustments that have their term expired end of last year. So they are for reappointments for the term 2025 to 2027. And then there's three planning commission members for the same term that are up for reappointment, and then one in the member for that. So we just have to bring it up to you for motion to approve their reappointments beginning 2025.
So the ones with the X's by them are the ones that we are approving today with this motion.
Yes.
That will reappoint them to another 3-year stint, or
3 years.
in EDA, it's 6.
Yes.
So planning commission is Leon, Stephanie, and Marvin. Rodney Bourne, Stephanie, and Patty Shook. They're a motion to reappoint these individuals.
So moved by Krause, second by Milbrand.
Then moved and seconded to reappoint the citizens to our commissions and boards. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, and then now we will go on to consider Board of Adjustment and Planning Commission membership.
So we have 1 vacancy for the planning commission and 2 vacancies for the board of adjustment. And this would be to just approve, we did get applications for each of the seats, so we the party board to approve the appointments for the 1 member for the planning commission and 2 members for the board of adjustment. And the planning commission member, the proposed member will be Chad Benson, who also serves on the EDA board, and then we do have 2 new members, Eric Summers and then Paul Mitchell for District 5 and District 1.
Those, you got applications from all 3 of those? Okay. We didn't get provided any.
I think it was the original intent to hand those out at the meeting itself. We could pause if you'd like and move this towards the end, and we can get copies of those. We didn't feel it was appropriate to include them in the packet itself in the publication because of some of the personal information. But to get some copies, sorry we forgot to.
Would the board feel better to at least see an application for these 3 individuals before voting on it, or how do you feel?
Sure. I know the individuals, I don't think reading their history is going to help me more than what I'm at with it.
Convince or hinder your decision?
I know. Doing anything, I got the chart.
Okay.
Right. I am very comfortable with 3 that are listed. I have the most confidence in all 3 of them to fulfill their positions without looking at any more information based on share.
Okay. Between the ones I know well or know of, I'm comfortable moving forward with this and appreciate their willingness to serve.
And you had no red flags? Okay, I know these individuals too have faith in their ability to perform what we want them to. So, If we're all comfortable with that, I would look for a motion to approve those 3 citizens to those positions.
I would make the motion.
For a second,
There is a second by Krause.
moved by Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Krause. To award these positions. Discussion.
The only thing I want to add is thanks to folks who are coming off boards. Some of them have served long and faithfully, and we appreciate their work. As we do all those that we just reappointed to, we know that this is one more thing in their life, and they come and help us do a better job because they bring their understanding and relationships to these boards and help things happen. So we want to make sure we make this good.
Yes, and there is some things in the works there to
Excellent.
recognize these people for their work, but thank you. Yeah, that will happen. So we do appreciate all it brings our residents' involvement into the county and makes us more grounded. So it's good. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Right, we will move on to drug court amended. Oh, that's right. Quick claim deed, area, Jeff.
Good morning, again, morning. Mr. Reese is looking to acquire, through sale of the real estate and property down in Richland Township. Known as east and southeast quarter, section 22, township 105, range 22. Essentially, there's a discrepancy in the title work where recent legal descriptions of the deeds accepted the land that the highway acquired to get easement in 1955 the highway. Did not acquire P title of the land, but that's kind of how the recent deeds read. So an attorney is requesting that the county quit claiming any interest in the property other than our highway easement back to the Reese Trust as a way to clean up the title. That's all we're doing. Maintain our easement from 1955. We still have the 49.5 feet for the highway. It just helps clean up the title work, so that's a clean. So that's what we're here to do. The attorney's office has reviewed quick claim deed and request and is favorable of it as well.
Okay. So we are just looking for the approval of this claim deed. A motion? Second. Okay, moved by Commissioner Hargit, second by Commissioner Milbert. To sign this quick claim deed or approve. Forward of it. Is there any discussion?
I have just a question for staff. I don't, philosophically, I have no problem with this, but isn't it current practice? I know it's current practice of the state of Minnesota with transportation, MnDOT, that they not just acquire easement, that they acquire title. Do we have uniform policy of the county at this point? I know in 1955, easement was what we were doing. What are we doing now?
We're still acquiring easement.
Okay,
We haven't made that chunk yet.
and is that a best practice or? I mean, we're a small rural county.
Right.
We work with our property owners in easements and we want to be good neighbors and easements help us do that.
I think, previously everybody thought, we acquired easement as well.
Okay,
And we're reconstructing a lot more roads.
okay,
I think if we were, Waseca County's in a really good position because they, 1950s, lot 49.5 feet, just didn't roll with 33 feet. So what we have is pretty nice right of way system. adequate for what we're doing for the most part. I mean, we have to buy little pieces for bridges and things like that at this point. So, and we aren't regrading roads at any level really yet. So there isn't a need to jump to the fee title acquisition yet. Easement works for us for bridges and things like that. If we start regrading and widening roads significantly, we're 49.5 feet on either side of center line is inadequate. I think that's certainly a discussion to have. Like, should we acquire fee title and should we make that switch? Certainly, I think it's cleaner in the long run. But that should switch, yeah. Just because we're not buying a property. Easements are right away in general at this point. And because you guys are set up so well, really, that's practice.
Well, I appreciate knowing that our predecessors on this board had forethought to make those easements big enough.
Yeah.
And from personal experience with issues in the right of way, and working with the county from a personal level, I've been happy and satisfied that the county has been responsive when there's been an issue, water sitting someplace, or something happening out there. There are some advantages that we have to work together on that too, as opposed to that hard boundary that says you're either responsible or we're responsible. That's very clean, but when you have to work together, that sometimes has some advantages as well. It makes us responsible to our citizens and makes our citizens responsible to their government, local governments too. So I appreciate the work you're doing.
Obviously, this was forced by a sale, the property. Are you aware, and there's no, quick claim, there's no monies, it's just some staff time for you. Is there any other of these that you're aware of, or is it only going to be forced sales or not forced sales, but sales that are going to have this happen?
Yeah, and where there's an issue with the title for the deed.
Right. It doesn't, we don't need to go out and do business to clean up any title.
Just one that experience.
So it's not necessarily when that road was built that there's more of them. It was just a simple miswording.
Right. And then, the letter from the attorney's office of recent deeds, so I don't know if it's as they wrote the trust or something, and things happened, the language got changed at that moment in time.
Yeah, so a quitclaim deed is ultimately transferring ownership without guaranteeing the title's condition in any way. It's severing the county's interest. So it's non-material in this instance, and I would say there very likely are others out there, and we won't ever know about them until we know about them. In this instance, it's when something like this happens, and there will be some cleanup. But legal descriptions are a language in and of themselves. And at times can span multiple pages. So it's really easy to turn a northeast into a northwest or whatever the situation may be. So this will probably happen again, but it will always be driven by the individual in nature to guess doing something on their individual property, selling, reorganizing, setting up a trust, what have you. So typically they go through what's called an ownership and encumbrance process, where that title company is going to do a broader search and say, who else can possibly have any interest or claim in this property?
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Question, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Thank you. Thank you. Now, John. Good morning, Jerry Cardinal. Drug court amended cooperative agreement.
As commissioners are aware, we try to see amendments to our municipal branch contract quite often. Usually they're in the positives, they're beneficial to our drug court program. This one, there was some freed up money from the judicial branch with due to our veterans, our district-wide veterans court helped bring some judicial branch money up or some drug court money up, and then also some of the cannabis, statewide cannabis monies that was allocated to drug courts. So we received an additional $40,500 for fiscal year 25, which would bring our total up to $207,096.37 for fiscal year 25 to help fund our drug court program. So we asked, respectfully recommend approval of the signature of the amended contract.
So I would look for a motion on amended one. Contract number 256580.
Make that motion. Tonight, second.
Moved by Commissioner Milbra, second by Commissioner Walter. Discussion. So this extra money, you budget according to what you feel like you're going to get. Is this just gonna go toward more salary or help?
So that's a good question. So you're right. So we budget based on what the state has allocated for us. Any additional funds are beneficial. So it's a biennium fiscal year. So we believe that our numbers in drug court are down a little bit. So we are going to see a reduction in funding in the next fiscal year, which comes mid next year. So we are able to plan for that a little bit. So some of this additional money we receive will help us fully fund this year. And then we can shift some to next year to help cover some of that gap for next year. Because we do believe we're going to probably go down a bracket and we will see about $30,000. If we do go down bracket, it'd be about a $30,000 reduction that we would see for our still Waseca drug court. This will help at least fund some of the this year into the full calendar year as well. So it funds our salaries, which salaries are pretty consistent, but it also funds drug testing costs, helps fund other program costs to it. So yes.
Do they look at what you roll over from year to year? As far as if you're going, what funding you get the next year?
They don't know. Okay, so their drug courts are based on a formula. The funding is, so there's a statewide formula they use, and it's based on you have a base fund, and then it's based on the numbers that you serve in the program. They use about a 33-year average for it. So that's how they fund drug courts. And if there's any additional funds that roll out to the district, then what they allocate them almost as a grant service. So they'll grant them out to the drug court. So we'll request them. If you recall, I think it was in the last few months, we had an amended contract for maybe $10,000 or $12,000 that was based on a grant that was received by the still Waseca drug court. And I think that was specific for training dollars and some drug testing dollars for the program.
So if your numbers are down, you still get the same amount of money per that formula, but maybe not for the next year after looking back at the previous.
Correct. Yeah. So if they do, it's a 3-year average. So next biennium, we believe will go down unless we see numbers stabilize a little bit more or go up some. But we do believe we are going to go down.
What makes you believe that the numbers are going to go down?
Just looking at our average where we're at with when we average out the 3 years, you can kind of anticipate where we're going to be at for funding in the future. So our drug court coordinator, Nicole Grams, does a really good job with kind of forecasting that to see where we're at. And we were very close the last biennium of losing an additional 30,000. When I say very close, I think we were within a couple individuals onto that. And our numbers have we had the 2020 year and 2021 year, the numbers were really low, and that has affected the numbers. So I think we believe we'll drop. The only saving grace a little bit would be the state did last year to some drug courts that dropped off because they saw a drop in 1 year. They gave them a one biennium kind of approval, if you want to say, where they didn't drop their money. We didn't see that last year, so we're hoping that they'll take that into consideration this year as well, or this next biennium, and maybe give us that opportunity to say, hey, you had that dip in it, and you've seen numbers kind of average out again. So hopefully we'll see that. and we won't drop.
Does that combine with Steele County as well, or is this just Waseca?
Nope, that it is still Steele County. Said here, Steele County's numbers have been very consistent, I would say. We didn't really see, even during the COVID years, we didn't see a dip by any means. We were pretty consistent here. Numbers in the Steele Waseca drug court, we saw a larger drop, I think, in Steele County that dip. And we've kind of come back up to our average. We've been pretty consistent here.
So do they have, does the state use a number that, you know, each FTE, or how, what am I trying to say, caseload?
Yep.
Do they have a caseload they target per FTE?
So for their formula, what they look at, and they're not necessarily funding the FTEs per se, they're just funding the program. A lot of times that will fund, as you mentioned, the FTE, it funds your coordinator, and then additional costs of the program. But so they look at, they have a snapshot of 1 year, and I believe it's October 1st, they take that snapshot of each year. And then they also take into considerations your exits and entrance into the program. So when I say entrance, any new participants coming out. When I say exits, it's graduates, terminations, administrative discharges. And then they total that up for your year. And then that's your number. And then they'll take the past 3-year average.
Okay.
And whatever your number is, that's where you fit on the formula of what they will fund you. Okay. And it's about I think from one bracket to the next, and when I say $30,000 difference per bracket. So that's why I say we believe we may go down to that other bracket, and that's where it's the 30,000.
Yeah.
It's based on the brackets program.
The reason I ask that is because, you know, you can lose, your numbers can be down, but if you're still not down to the point where you can lose an FTE, you know, your costs don't change.
Correct.
You know, so it isn't really, that 30,000 is where it hits you. You know, it's one thing if it falls below a caseload that they think you should be at, then maybe. You know,
That's well said. We are concerning. We're getting to the point where up to this point, we haven't had to have any additional funds from the county to support that program. We've come to the county in the sales here. Saying we believe the numbers we may need this additional funds, but we've been very fortunate to not have to exhaust or use any county funds. If we lose that 30,000, we'll look at our budgets. There's a potential that we'd have an ask for the 2 counties again. I think it'd be relatively minimal for the 2 counties to help support the program. But you're right. There's that where you're at that close for that FTE. Also, we're also pushing at the state level. There's an inflationary period that will affect these dollars. So everything costs a lot more than what it did 3 years ago. When we buy drug testing kits, they're significantly more than what they were 3-4 years ago. So the money that we receive doesn't quite go as far as well. So we're hopeful. And I will say I've been involved in drug courts for 15 years. For some reason, I mean, we get concerned, and then they do allocate the money eventually. So we've been very fortunate. And I think that's pretty consistent every biennium. In the past 15 years, I've been involved in drug courts. So we plan for the worst, and we've been very fortunate so far that we've had very strong support at the state level, local level for the drug court. So.
okay, thank you. And yeah, the situation we're going into at the state level. So money's we're gonna have to get up there working for it.
It'll be very tight. I guess it will.
I believe we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, public hearing to consider residential tax abatement. Joseph Size. Cassandra Hertz. Did I pronounce that right?
I think so. Good morning. Just a point of information to share with you. If you remember, the city of Waseca's residential tax abatement program did end December 31st. But under the terms of their program, anybody who pulled a building permit during that time is entitled to a residential tax abatement even if it's granted after the December 31st. I just wanted. So for this particular public hearing, these are residential tax abatements that have been approved by the city of Waseca already. And then we're just doing our part. I will let you know that the city has told me that they actually have 4 or 5 applications in process from building permits in 2024. And that we most likely in February will see the end of the applications for those residential tax abatements. But I just wanted to share that information with you.
Our residential abatement was predicated on them having theirs. But once theirs ends, our those two.
My understanding is that there has been some conversation of maybe starting at it again in 6 or 7 months. But part of that conversation includes changing their program on the dollar amounts being abated and who can apply. So they're going to do a reevaluation of the old program to decide whether or not to bring it back. And in that particular case, I believe you would have to reconsider and pass a new ordinance if you were going to, or a new resolution, if you were going to do this again. So this is, based off of the conversation that you had a couple years ago where you decided to work along with the city of Waseca for these residential tax abatements. And know that if they did bring the program back in their city and they pass it, that doesn't obligate you to. It's just, again, something that you can consider further down the road. And they may not bring it back. But right now, the program building permits pulled by the end of December 31st, 2024. Nothing after that date is eligible to apply. And I want to say, I think there's 5 that are coming, but we'll do it in February because the city council won't address those abatement requests until their second meeting in January. So I don't see them until after the event.
So we would move into,
Well, it's just going to articulate the actual ask for now. So Tina, what's the actual, what are staff recommending?
So we did check, it did work with Brock Nelson on the levy rate and dollar amount to use. So the numbers that are calculated in all 3 of these abatements do come from Brock based on assessor's values. So this particular application is for 10 years, 50% of the county's portion. So not to exceed the $834.24 per year, or a total for over the 10 years being $8,342.40.
And Mr. Chair, even though they're all the same ask by statute, we have to have a resolution and a public hearing for each individual resolution. And so I know it's somewhat tedious, but all 3 items nested are the exact same thing. As you were saying before, we requested a public hearing to see if there's any other public comment on these particular.
okay, just one question before we move into public hearing is, those numbers that you give us, once approved today, that's the numbers, right? It's not depending on assessment throughout the 10 years, it's locked in.
It will never exceed that amount. If for some reason the values don't, and the assessed value doesn't reach that maximum amount, they would get 50% of what the amount was. So potentially it could be less, but it will not ever exceed. Same thing as, future years, if the value of the home raises and the taxes are expensive, become more expensive, they will not exceed the amount that's been granted in this agreement.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I will move into public hearing and ask if there is any public comment for the tax abatement for Joseph Says and Cassandra Gertz. Public comment. Any public comment? If not, I would look for a motion to move out of public hearing. Oh, is there a second? Second. By Commissioner Hargis, second by Commissioner Melba to move out of public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Now we will consider the resolution. Correct. Down to it. Resolution 2025-05. To approve that.
I would move it.
Wait a second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Krause. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carries. We will move on to Norma and Lilas Myers.
And their request is for 10 years at 50%. And in this particular case, the abatement shall not exceed the county's portion 50%, which is the $1,134.89, or the $11,348.90. And again, if they don't pay their taxes, they don't get an abatement. And again, it won't ever exceed that amount. If taxes don't reach that, then they would not be receiving the full
Thank you. I will move into the hearing for the tax abatement for Norman and Lilas Myers. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? If not, I would look for a motion to move out of public hearing.
Motion to move out.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Malter to move out of public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now I will look for a motion to resolution 06, 2025-06.
So moved.
Second, Malter.
By Commissioner Hargis, second by Commissioner Malter, to approve resolution 2025-06. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Right, so now we move into the last abatement.
And in this respect, for the Robert Bumgarner, he's only asking for 6 years at 75%. So calculating that portion of the taxes, the $1,036.48 per year, or for the duration of the abatement, $6,218.92.
This into public hearing for the tax abatement for Robert Baumgartner. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? If not, I would look for a motion to move on to public hearing. I'll make that motion.
And I would second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Milbra, second by Commissioner Malter to move out of public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, then we would look for a motion for resolution 2025-07.
So moved. Second, Milbreth.
Then moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Okay, then we will move to the public hearing for our 2025 fee schedule. Michael, you want to start that off?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. So Minnesota statute 373.41 outlines a list of miscellaneous fees that jurisdictions, municipalities and counties can adopt. In order to have a fee schedule, this is one of those annual things as well. We must hold a public hearing and then adopt by resolution what that fee schedule would be, which is why we're here today. So every year I send out an email, I have a conversation with department heads at our regular meetings and ask them to send me any updates they may have, which are reflected in a red line version that's in the packet. It shows both what was stricken out essentially from the 2024 version and what the updated version would be, with one exception, and that's the one I wanted to bring for you that you don't see reflected currently under property and election services. We have an annual fee for fireworks. It's for $250. We got some additional information that we looked further this morning about that. I guess I'll say competitive price point with some of our neighboring counties around us. 5 of the counties around us have a $25 fee, and one other county has a $50 fee. Freeborn County is the outlier there. Obviously, we're the outlier compared to the rest. And as I understand some history that was provided to me, the county, as of a few years ago, did not have anything that addressed this, and somewhat scrambled to implement it. Couple of issues, one being the price point, and 2, the lack of specificity for when those events are taking place. So a couple of things I would like to see changed is, 1, the fireworks permitting moving under the sheriff's department so that he and his staff are aware of that transpiring. And then reduction of that fee to $25 to model some of the existing counties around us as well.
You have that correction up here,
No, it is not on.
or change, I should say, no.
No, this would be something that, I would change in the final draft itself. It's not going to be reflected on a red line. This is a conversation just this morning, and that information that's out this morning.
So in the past, then, when there was nothing, previous 5 years ago or whenever it was, there just was no permitting. I mean, if an individual, they just did it. Right.
From what I could see, this did not appear to be a very heavily utilized thing. And honestly, I wasn't even aware it was on the fee schedule until somebody brought it to my attention. It's never even been inquired with me in the past, or at least since I've been here, which isn't a huge sample size in 5 years, but it does not seem to be very heavily utilized. But I think it's important with whatever that simple application process will be. There are several things to reference. It's just to identify, here's exactly when this is happening, and here are the outliers. And so the sheriff's office, the county as a whole can know, and that the expectation is that, okay, well, we should see a fireworks display happening in the middle of February because there's no other event that's covered around it. So it's just kind of vague right now, both how it showed up, and it really only ever showed up because there was a request that somebody came to us, I would like to do this, and we didn't have a process in place to facilitate that.
Yeah, we have one family down by Meritzone that has been active in fireworks. And I know they'll do events at their home. But it's in Steele County, just over the line, so it hasn't been an issue with us. See, so I think this is.
And Steele County is one of those $25 fee counties, and they have a simple little 1-page application that also goes through the sheriff's office too. And the consistency I was seeing in all of these counties was it goes through the sheriff's office, which makes a lot of sense.
I think prior to all of the fee schedule, I think that 250, Tammy and I worked together on this, and this was from MCIT at that time. we had no policy in place. And we worked hard to get that policy in place, and I think they suggested that was our fee at that time. And as things evolve now, there's more activity with fireworks, and I can't remember what the event was, if it was the Waseca event or the Janesville event that needed a permit from the company. I think that, it's been several years, but we scrambled to put that together. Just Tammy's business there, so.
Okay. Good to know some background, or yeah, history there. So do we, if we want to make a change today with what's been in our agenda, do we make that change and then go into public hearing?
I would go into public hearing first, Mr. Chair, and that's really the purpose of the public hearing, is because there could be changes that organically come as a result of any comment or conversation. So it would be the most inbounds approach to go into public hearing to see if there are any other recommended changes or public comments, and then come back and have discussion as a board.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair, under the gambling license, the county has that. I know I was had to go to the city for that, and it was like $50-some a few years ago.
Yeah, again, another pretty rarely utilized thing, but this would be for something that is out of municipal limits, special events that may occur if you have a rural church that is having like a split the pot type of raffle. But there's still a state licensure that they have to go through as well. But it couples like, which is under that same section for tobacco and everything like that. They still have to get authorization of the state and the local organization, municipality jurisdiction as well in tandem. It's none of these on this list are really heavily utilized. Obviously more than others, but it's a compilation of one and a hundred event that we have to have some structure in place for what they do.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I will move into public hearing for any comments from the public on the fee schedule. Is there any public comment? Public comment? Public comment? If not, I would look for a motion to move out of public hearing.
Second, Brad.
Then moved and seconded. I don't know if I'm supposed to be stating the time we move out or not, but I haven't been.
She's getting it. So,
Okay. Moved by you, right? Commissioner Krause, seconded by Commissioner Melbret. Move out of public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So now we will discuss passing our fee schedule for 2025.
I'll make a motion that we accept it with the changing of our fireworks to $25.
$25 per event and putting it under the sheriff's department.
Correct.
That okay with you? Okay, is there a second?
There is, by Krause.
Then moved and seconded to approve the 2025 Waseca County fee schedule with that amendment. Is there any other discussion?
Just a couple philosophical thoughts, as I tend to go that direction. It makes perfect sense to me to put this under the sheriff's department, because this is a safety concern and a fire concern and brand units. All of that stuff gets administered out of our public safety. I'm just thinking about sitting out on my deck in the west edge of Janesville and watching fireworks go off with some regularity. And from a big picture, and the rules in the state of Minnesota about what you can have for fireworks have changed some, but I know that states around us are much more lenient as far as how big a boom you can have. And I'm not saying that that necessarily plays into this particular discussion right now, but that little rabbit hole that I like to go down says, do we need to look at that? I mean, I see lots of fireworks that I know. People are just doing fireworks, you know? And I don't know what we know from the sheriff's department and what insight at some point, not like right off the top of your head necessarily, but what insights you might provide to the board as far as, do we have to be concerned about enforcement? Or is this just something that just is what it is, and we don't have to look at those bigger things? I'd be interested in what Commissioner Milbreath would say.
I'm thinking that there's gonna be an application fee that they're gonna throw in from insurance. And assuming that they'll have to provide that for that. So that would cover the county's end of it. As far as enforcement part, I tell you what, it's very difficult to go from neighbor to neighbor and say, you can't light them off, or what's legal, what's not. Unfortunately, that's Minnesota's rules. But I think wasting our time running around unless somebody gets hurt. That's the way I'm gonna put it. So if somebody gets hurt, then somebody's gonna get in trouble. I think I'm just gonna be blunt about that.
And I appreciate that insight. Then philosophically, we're saying, we offer this permit. We offer the opportunity for you to do this within the parameters that the state sets out and that the county recognizes. And if you choose to go around that, then it's on you.
And Jay can comment, but he's got enough issues to deal with and also the fireworks.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not suggesting that's a good idea. I'm just looking for understanding and insight so that we have that philosophical base that I am more comfortable with.
That's in Minnesota. Oh, go ahead.
The only thing I was gonna say is, we always respond to complaints and take enforcement action when appropriate. And our primary concern is safety. So whether it's safety of the individuals setting off the fireworks or the people around the fireworks or the community is our priority. So,
As it should be in our public safety department.
yes.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, Minnesota chapter 624 outlines this and how they define it as consumer grade fireworks. And very generically speaking, if it leaves the ground and it explodes, it's considered consumer grade. So anything that leaves the ground and detonates in any way is illegal in the state of Minnesota by default. So that application process, as Commissioner Milbreath points out, does have that insurance line.
Okay.
It goes through that little checklist of, are you even legally authorized to do this and how? So that's part of the process, as Commissioner Milbreath stated, that's in place. This isn't a practice issue.
Yes,
It's just how it's being displayed in the fee schedule.
I understand.
So I think we're doing everything we can there, but I've certainly had that sentiment before too. In municipalities especially, you need 1,000 different officers for the 4th of July just to try to navigate through that. And I've never seen an officer stop. And other than we're here, we're a presence, we're making sure you're being as safe as you possibly can until there's a problem.
Just to touch on Commissioner Hargis about the gambling lessons, we have a couple golf courses that seem to have events come up, and I think that created down in the original golf course they had. That's where the gambling is.
But that was an event fee, right?
But I think that's just an annual cost. I think it's
So with the state, it is event specific. So you have to get a gambling license for event, and it is very defined. And that's another one that's on here. I know it says annually. In practice, we're going to treat it event specifically because the state does, and we're just going to kind of follow their outline is. We're secondary in that authorization checklist as well. So, okay, if the gambling commission doesn't offer them a license, we can't say it's fine, go ahead and do this anyway.
So, we have a motion on the floor for approving the scheduling fee as amended. Do I need to, we need to approve that and then go do resolution 2025 that states that we had a public hearing?
It's one and the same.
It is
So,
one and the
yeah,
same.
the fee schedule doesn't exist without the resolution in this instance. So, yeah, the motion, if Commissioner Mildred, I think who started it,
Yes.
is okay with that. It's really approval of 2025-4 with
The amendment.
the amendments as mentioned.
Okay, all right.
Let me ask a question, follow this rabbit trail down on gambling. Should we take that out of the category that says annually and specify per event so that we can, so that it's properly reflected in our, is that another amendment to the fee schedule that the board might be willing to consider? Because if we want what we have here to be what we practice. It's like policy. You want policy and practice to be the same thing. And I would think we want this to accurately reflect what we expect. And if we, at this point, if we give out those gambling licenses per event, then it should be per event.
I'll make my amendment that gambling license, the fireworks permit, but then per event, under a separate line item. I'll get with that.
Thank you.
Okay, motion has been amended. Is the second okay with that?
I would be okay with that, yes.
Okay, all right. So, the motion on the floor right now is to approve the schedule fee with the amendment of moving the gambling license and the fireworks permit out of the annual category to per event and changing the fireworks permit to $25 under the sheriff. The gambling license also under the sheriff.
We probably won't move the gambling license, we'll leave that under property and election services, but
Okay,
event specific.
fireworks will be moving to the sheriff. Gambling will stay. Okay, and that was motion by Mildred, seconded by Krausers. Question.
Can you, if somebody was used to getting an annual gambling license, they came in and got one for the year, can they still do that?
So there's gonna be a little bit of differentiation here, which I wasn't gonna go down the rabbit hole, but we're there. It's okay. So there's a difference in a bar that is authorized to sell pull tabs and a rural church that wants to hold a specific gun. There's a difference in that process. And that's what's being addressed here. So it's not as though we're communicating to our authorized to sell pull tabs that every single day you need to get a permit from us. That's not how it's going to work. Of course, they're still going to be, if they have a license by the state, if they have a license by the state, and we're going to honor that license and come alongside it and couple that license. So this is really talking about those once a year event specific type of fundraiser things that's being pop up. We're talking about these gambling, right?
One more question while Robin is here also. I know the Hockey Association comes down to the Fair Board and they have more than one event per year. Are they going to have to come in each time for each event then because it's not annually?
I still think it's going to be something that we can accomplish in the permitting itself. That we're identifying that just like it may extend a weekend. I know it could get a little complicated to say that, well, now there's a month between, 6 months in between. But I still think we can administratively accomplish that with what's being identified. So if the individual or the organization says we're going to have 2 different events, They're 2 months apart, but here they are. So we're still gonna be able to authorize that event or application.
I think they have events throughout the year.
They do, and I know even at the fair, though, in the past, they've done horse racing in the beer garden, and then they do their bingo, and they'll do pull tabs in the beer garden, because they have to come to the board and ask us if we are okay with that. And it changes depending on how well it did, or, you know, what we feel that it did for them. And so we don't know if they're gonna do 3 things during the fair this year, they're gonna do something else, but then they have other events that they do. Like at the boxcar, I think they do pull tabs and they have some other things.
I think that the main takeaway is as long as it's legally authorized by the state, we're gonna authorize it. It's not gonna, if we're not in any way trying to make this more administratively burdensome for anybody or add more bureaucratic layers to the process, especially, it's just defining it in a way that is sensible and reasonable.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect the fire departments or whatever, because that's still coming down from the state. Right, yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, last one on the action items. Resolution 2025-08. It's the state agreement between Waseca and UCA.
Yeah, I'll take this one for the county attorney's. She wasn't able to do this today, but this is an agreement that every 5 years comes back up and really is a team-making agreement, if you will, that allows us to benefit and the BCA to benefit from some shared tools and resources. I think the sheriff was able to find in 2022 was the last version that his office had agreed to. So same and similar to the county attorney's office, really effectively the exact same JPA. And as you see in that first recital on there, that apprehension to use systems and tools available over the state's criminal justice data communications network, for which the county is eligible. So it's beneficial to us as an organization to lean on our a little bit larger sister organizations in this and in key events and certain events to be able to utilize and tap into the resources as needed. So this agreement is already in place for the sheriff's office, and we're looking for renewal effectively with the county attorney's office for another 5 years.
I would look for a motion for resolution 2025.
Motion to approve.
What's that, Lindsay? Overall?
Second. Approve resolution 2025-08. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Gets us through our action items. We will take a 5-minute break before we get into administration updates. Administration update.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things today. One, we are entering very quickly the legislative season. So this is when I start petitioning to you folks to put together a list of legislative priorities that we will compile and take with us next month. With capital visits and that AMC legislative conference and day at the Capitol. So we will do our best to get meetings scheduled with the various representatives and senators that see this area. And I'm sure we'll be able to do that. And then also at the federal level, we'll attempt to do the same for that meeting beginning of March. So really, if you have, this is just kind of the first request, and I'll follow up with you, I'm sure a few times too. But if you have some of those things at the top of your mind that you know you want to see as either area-wide, statewide initiatives or Waseca County specific initiatives, that would be really helpful for me to hear earlier in the process, so we can get those handouts and packets put together for our legislative delegates and distributed ahead of that time that we actually show up in the office. And so it's really helpful if it's not the first time they're hearing it or seeing it. We get there, so we do whatever we can to work with their legislative assistants and say, here, please put this in your delegates' hands and follow up and let us know if you have any questions. So that's all.
One thing that I don't want to get lost or forgotten about is, South Country Health Alliance now. It's getting difficult over there again. We go through them waves and we run into certain years where the reimbursements don't match up with the usage, and so one thing that we're seeing happening, and I don't know how this is being allowed, is some of these privates like Medica and Blue Cross are able to not accept new membership into certain programs. So they're saying, like PMAP, which is right now a losing battle, certain programs, and they're saying we're not going to accept new membership in 2025 into that. So I don't know how the state is allowing them to single out the programs that aren't making money, and then making our county-based purchasing go on. So that is definitely something we need to talk to legislation about. And I'm sure they're not even aware of it,
Does that get addressed in that karma bill?
Well, this is fairly new news coming out from some of these.
Okay.
And so I don't think it is at this time.
I don't think that specifically is addressed now.
But I think to piggyback on that, I think we want to put that karma bill on our legislative priorities, and it will be no surprise to our legislators because we've been with it. That was a last year priority too, but we want to get county-based purchasing on a solid footing where they are recognized as full partners, and I think that gives us more political will than also legislative authority to be able to say, just a minute, we're not being treated as full partners when it comes to those things.
We're not treated the same.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that's helpful. Is there anything else immediately? Okay.
Systems modernization and HHS,
It's been a placeholder.
and we're gonna keep making a placeholder. We had an interesting conversation at Futures. We had the state IT director in there. And he basically said, well, this isn't that hard to fix. It's like, then fix it. I mean, it would be a matter of, right now, there's a lot of specialization, different counties doing it different ways, it would mean that, well, you didn't get to pick how you wanted to do it. You'd have to get to one big system, but right now it's just between not being able to get workers and then the technical systems that spin and spin and spin and waste so much time of the workers we have, that it just doubles the effect and the inefficiency and the poor service that we give people because of that system being busted. Or not busted, but just so it would screen.
Okay, so, and we're ultimately talking about funding, right? Funding for modernization, for mandates that the state is telling us we have.
We have to do this and give us the tools to do it right.
So this will come up a little bit in my conversation Thursday. I got put on the county program aid and mandate relief work group for the state. So there's 20 of us that are getting together and chatting through things like this. What are all of the unfunded mandates effectively that we have to comply with statutorily, but the state is silent on providing resources or guidance in cases to help us get there. So we're looking at some of the local government and county program aid history, and ultimately trying to collectively package and ask a presentation in committee going forward to the state legislature. And there is kind of what the House research on your screen is for kicking that off. So that's where I'll be Thursday, and a group of other folks from around the state. It's about maybe half commissioners and half staff.
Thanks for taking part in that. I was just thinking about the Minnesota African American. Obviously that when we're talking about unfunded mandates,
Yeah,
that's
a big one.
That's a big one that we have to keep our finger on.
Good, thanks.
Mr. Chair. You Richland and the flooding, do you want that on? Is that something you would like on the priority list, or are you taking care of that in a different way?
It'll definitely be a talking point. Whether we're gonna have anything to present yet, is yet to be seen. We're, getting closer and closer, but and my hope is that we would be applying for that DNR grant, that mitigation grant, and have back it, give the legislators too. It's getting there, but I don't know if we're gonna be there.
So Commissioner Krause is reading ahead of my notes here.
I've been looking at your note.
Next Friday, Representative Sexton had asked for a group to get together with Waseca County specific, so that was going to be my ask for the 5 of you. I'm in St. Paul next Friday as well, and I was going to send a couple of commissioners if your schedule allows on my behalf, meeting with the city and the school district and other folks. So Representative Sexton has already been very engaged in the Richland conversation, as well as overall inflow and infiltration issues, water tower conversations and issues, water supply, water treatment. So he's been really engaged in that even before his term officially started, so that he could be the best advocate he could for this community, which we obviously, Senator Jasinski has said the same in terms of water tower being his highest priority item to get pushed through for this community. So with that, I think 10 a.m. to noon is what they had scheduled next Friday. The location was originally to be determined, however, since I think Superintendent Hudspeth had said that the community room is available at the school district. So is there two of you that would be willing to participate and represent the county? That's the commissioner.
Nick talked community room at CIS, correct? Seriously?
Yes, that was my understanding. Second level room.
Yeah, you know, we met with, Tom, Representative Sexton, Chris and I did, talked over the Pearson situation. You know, that's not his district, but he wanted to be well aware of the happening so he can have good conversations with Peggy. And, so I think as far as this one meeting's concerned, you'd probably want representatives in this district, wouldn't you? No.
It doesn't hurt. Commissioner Hargett and myself and Chris were able to meet with him as well too, to talk about some of the other INIs and Gator Lake relief and a lot of the more Waseca central or proximity issues.
Certainly will.
Okay.
Commissioner Milbreath.
So we'll manage each other, I'm sure. I'll send along the invitation to folks and thank you for that willingness. I didn't mean to cut off the legislative priority conversation. Is there anything else immediately? Otherwise, send me an email as you think of it or text and I'll add some layers to it. But I know we'll have more conversations as we get closer to mid and February.
Will you repeat the list we have now, please?
Well, just what was mentioned today was the South Country Health Alliance, Karma Bill, we'll shake the dust off of that. And also it sounds like we should suggest amending the private ability to basically look at capitation rates and say, we don't want to touch these because they're not revenue generating programs. So we're not going to help these people unless it's going to line our pockets in some way with that. Right. And make sure that there's equity in how that selection process is happening between counties. So one, the ability for county-based purchasing, but in that county-based purchasing model, making sure that there's equity between private and public organizations. That's mostly what I'm hearing. And then system monitors. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking that everyone has their legislative duty on your AMC and AMC.
Yes.
So, I mean, if I go back to, say, public, yeah, you know, we still have the non-funded emergency vehicles in the outstate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so there's always things that we can continue to hit on and maybe take that away from our AMC committee assignments. And, you know, so we have those items. And I know we can't always get through them when we meet with the representatives, but.
If I sent that committee assignment list to AMC, so Commissioner Milbreath and the broader encompassing general government, Commissioner Hargett, public safety, policy, Commissioner Krause in transportation, Commissioner Malter in the health and human services area, and then Commissioner Christopherson in environment and natural resources. So you'll all meet with those individual committees. Yep. And develop your own list of priorities that will get squished down and prioritized and captured. It's that AMC list, and AMC will put together both a state priority list and a federal priority list. And some of our local priority lists always piggyback a little, at least at the state side of things, sometimes federal, but it's helpful to have those kind of specific county touch points as well too. Yeah, factored into that. So unfunded mandates as a broad term captures some of the systems modernization we need to see in HHS. We've dealt with that even in Mid Prairie, right? When Mid Prairie was established, we had 3 different systems that need to come together into one. And dissecting that in a way that applies to all counties is difficult. And there's a lot of those such instances across the state and across each individual county. So I certainly, I can send out the 2024 priority list if that helps, because, you know, a lot didn't end up going through.
I already had the 2025 priority list.
Oh,
Over there, what they want, look into.
for those individual
Yeah.
ones.
No, I don't have it, they have it.
Yeah, I got you. So county program aid will always be a placeholder on that too. We need to, every dollar we get in county program aid is a dollar reduced from any levy implication. So that's always one we're going to continue to advocate for. Especially in terms of an inflationary placeholder, because we got a more significant legislative win a couple of years ago, but there wasn't an inflationary factor. It was just making this one-time adjustment since we're 20 years behind. But it still needs some level of foresight built into it. I think you have HR announcements. Anything you want to add to that?
Not at this time. I did give you guys like updated version to it. Corrected, and a date on in there. At the next board meeting, I will have a few items for you guys. I'll have an AI policy and the pay equity report too. I should have done and ready to submit to you guys. So, forward to seeing the next board meeting.
So, sure. Not, oh, yes,
Question for Michael. Yeah. Is staff gonna work on being that there's a barricade that came up for the island on Moon Lake, is staff gonna be looking around about we can take care of that?
Yes. I don't know if we'll be able to accomplish anything, but I have plans for a conversation with a couple of other individuals. See if it's some flexibility in the interpretive measures. You know, if we got to a point of interpretation of what is a firearm. I think there's still a way we can safely accomplish that without jeopardizing homes and businesses in the surrounding area. But ultimately, if it comes down to the city stating that, oh, this is not going to happen no matter what, then it's problematic in and of itself as well too, because eventually you would anticipate that population to migrate elsewhere, and then it may be a little bit higher on the city's priority list. That happens. And cormorant population, if we didn't say that. So I think we still need to pursue some control measures, yes, even if it is to the point of hiring the DNR, their team to do if the city authorizes that.
Yes. Wasn't there some other, methods like just, random loud anger?
Cannons, yeah, so there's some propane cannons that have been used in other instances. Cities to efficacy on that.
Absolutely. Then you have noise complaints from the residents around here. So
The university covered years ago back in the 90s. After it was, and they didn't cover it. And I know there's quite a few other cities that have parks that pay those bonds with it. They have the same kind of ordinance in effect, so.
Yeah.
I did pose the question to Mr. Comfort that we do have several young people in the county that do bow fishing. Sure. Where you have, you know,
On a line.
archery on a line, and he thought it was a little bit ridiculous at first because he said, well, you're gonna have strings tangled in trees and everything, but I said, you're shooting less than 15 feet off the ground. Well, I said, really, I don't knock it until you try it or find out. You think the birds will sit there? You get that close to them?
It's quiet, they'll sit there.
You know, yeah, I don't know. It was a thought I had where you're not discharging fire.
That's interesting.
Crossbows.
Yeah, crossbow is very accurate. Okay, well, we'll keep working towards that. All right, Tina. I like. Yeah.
Good morning again. Generally speaking, this is a quiet time of the year for economic development. But some days I don't think so. Coming up in the month of February is going to be a gathering of information to kind of put together a work plan, maybe some strategic goals. And so just to let you know, we'll kick that off with the work session with you on February 4th. The city of Waseca has asked for a joint meeting with the EDA from the county to join them to have a conversation about how to work together and to strengthen what we have. And then I'll meet again with the county EDA to kind of filter through some of the information and then come back to you. I was looking at the calendar. It would be your first meeting in April when I do my report to kind of give you maybe some strategies and information that is filtered to the top on that. And so just know that it's been some preparation in line with that. I've reached out and been visiting with each of our communities. Yesterday I was in Waldorf, and I'm happy to say that they have hired a city engineer, contracted with an engineering firm to help them with their planning and zoning. And so yesterday I had a good meeting. We had the mayor was there and a couple council members and then the engineering firm to kind of have a conversation about what are some of the things that Waldorf is looking forward to for the year. And I have been emailing back and forth with both New Richland and Janesville to be able to collect information from them. So that's kind of some of the things that are happening. We will be finalizing our procedures checklist at county EDA level for when there's requests for loans. We've been kind of we've worked through the policy. Now we're working through kind of what is some of the procedure and kind of like a checklist that to follow. The Moving Communities Forward project will have a stakeholder meeting on January 30th. Commissioner Malter, I haven't had a chance to visit with you, but I did briefly with Commissioner Hargett, and I'll be sending you invitations. This first meeting is about bringing together policymakers and educators and to talk about who should be at the table for the steering committee for that Moving Communities Forward. And just to recap, it is about helping to create these career pathways as a student or a displaced worker in what type of education is available, potentially what our Workforce Development Center can provide to get them to specific careers and industries and hopefully be able to improve our talent pipeline for our local industries. So that's coming up. I talked briefly about the Waseca Food Co-op. We'll be meeting again.
Just real quickly on that, on 30th.
Yes.
Have you set a time for that yet?
Yes, it will be 9 to noon.
I'm out.
Are you out?
Yeah, there's some leadership training that I'm already committed to. I could go anytime in the afternoon, but I'm booked until we have.
I'm kind of letting UM Extension set that up and they've set it up.
Good to know.
Yeah, but it will definitely, we just figured the day and time out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I definitely will keep you in the loop.
I appreciate that. I want to.
Yeah. So on the Waseca Food Co-op, our next meeting is slated for February. I've been seeing a lot of email traffic on that co-op. Some of it, I think they've decided to put in a couple of letters of interest on some grants. Did you see that from Venya?
Yes.
So a little bit on Green Scene. January is a busy month because they try to connect with farmers when they're not in the field. So they are doing that State of Ag focus group at Farm America on January 21st. And that's working with the Waseca Chambers Agribusiness Committee. They'll be doing the entrepreneurial workshop in Fairmont on January 13th, the one in New Ulm on January 29th. And I found out yesterday, I would like to ask one of you or Michael to go to Green Seam's annual meeting on March 11th. I will be at the Indoor Ag Convention with Holly from Green Seam and the folks from Xcel Energy, but I have been chosen as Green Seam's Volunteer of the Year. And somebody needs to accept my award. So I'm pretty excited. That's not something I remember. They were telling me yesterday what, and I'm like, well, I'm not in town, and can I ask somebody to be there? And they're like, oh, absolutely, they would.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. They had mentioned it a while ago, but now it seems real because they want me to go and film do a video promo thing that'll be, I don't know.
Awesome.
Anyway, and then it's an all year thing, so. On the backside, just some grants, still tracking, haven't heard anything definitive final on the Workforce Development Center, but hoping that happens. I did talk to Christian this week and he hasn't heard anything. He's going to try and reach out to Darren to see. He did say that the investment committee has their monthly meeting next Tuesday. So hopefully we'll get some, I'd love to see grant agreement come through, right? Letting you know, coordinating with AMC, Noah from AMC let us know about a stormwater resiliency grant. And Chris and I have been coordinating with that. And so just know that we're following that. And then the SHIP grant, which is how Parks got some grant money. So kind of keeping an eye on that. I will not be at your next meeting because I'll be on vacation, but there is some of the travel stuff coming up in March. So, do you have any questions for me?
I'm sorry.
So, February 4th, we're gonna have a work session ahead of the meeting then. With the earth. And then this joint EDA meeting.
They've invited the county EDA to attend a meeting with their city EDA.
What's the 18th one then?
Our county economic development authority, their regular meeting.
Oh, that's just great.
Yeah.
And you have seen the updated assignment list, so
I haven't, but I'll find it today.
Bill Brett will be taking my spot in the meeting.
Welcome. Yay. Nice. Yeah, so that's good to know because I'll be sending out the agenda for next week's meeting. We have a meeting next Wednesday.
8:30 on the 15th.
Pardon?
8:30 on the 15th.
I have just one very simple request. Could you give this to us like in our meeting? Or then it gives us just a few minutes to look at it ahead of time, and that would be helpful.
Okay.
Our discussions here at the end would be more productive.
Oh,
But yeah, just a couple minutes to look at all.
Yeah, we can do that. I don't, a lot of times there's things in here that not necessarily public, so I don't put it on the portal.
And I appreciate that,
But I'm happy to hand it out. I don't know that it's sitting.
we get an HR report and it's here, gives me a
Okay.
chance to look it over.
I can do that.
And I know you have it done, and that way I can keep it.
Yeah.
Be more prepared to ask.
And you're always welcome to, yeah, I appreciate the questions. You can chatter at Michael and definitely send them to me and
Will do.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Board. But I suppose we could just well go through the commissioner reports so we don't get behind there. Starting with you, Commissioner Medley.
I want to go back to 17th. We had work session, board meeting. I had an EMS meeting in the afternoon and a truth and taxation meeting that evening. On the 21st, I had coffee with the commissioner, and then I rang the bell for Salvation Army at Walmart. It was the 27th when I met with Doug and Michael in their office. And the 28th, I had coffee with the commissioner. And on the 31st, we had a special meeting. That brings us into next year. This year, sorry, this year, 2024, 25.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Harvey. Mr. Chair. 6 p.m. budget or levy, the 17th, 8:30 a.m. department head meeting on the 19th. And meeting with Michael on the 30th. And then 1 to 3 was Kevin Nelson's retirement party. On the 31st, did you forget?
I've got that right there. Yeah, I was there.
On the 31st, we had the meeting at 8:30 in the AM. And yesterday, yeah, that was yesterday. Yesterday morning, we had joint ditch at 10:30. And this morning I met with the sheriff. And our board meeting, Mr. Jim, do we have public works tomorrow morning at 8?
Tomorrow morning.
8? 8, yep.
Welcome back, Commissioner Crossen.
And then I just wanted to remind everyone next, they moved our Woodville Township meeting from tonight to next Tuesday. And then next Wednesday is the all township meeting at Woodville Town Hall. I believe that's at 7 p.m.
That is the
15th. Rest
7 o'clock off township county.
all township.
Beth sent that to our digital calendars.
Yes. I think you have. Did that show up?
All township or county township meeting on the 15th at 7 p.m.
Can get that up. She didn't show me email.
She sent a calendar invite. Accepted 3, declined 3, didn't respond.
That's right, I did get that.
Well, probably, I'm one of the not responsive.
Judy Slider, I think I declined. That wasn't nice.
There you go.
For your hands. I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're welcome. Okay, Commissioner Moulton.
We had a full day on December 17th. That included, in addition to the work session, we had lunch over at Hidden Pines with county administrators that were available for lunch, department heads from Mini Prairie, and commissioners on the board. And then we went over to a Mini Prairie Joint Powers Board meeting at 3 o'clock and came back here for our budget and levy hearing. On Wednesday the 18th, I had lunch with our broadband consultant. On Friday the 20th, we had a joint ditch board meeting for JD 11, which has been continued until our board meeting on the 4th. On the 4th of February, Blue Earth County had a a little snafu and they didn't publish. And so, this gives them a chance to publish. We kept the meeting open and we'll take any public comment that Blue Earth County residents might have at our board meeting, since we have a majority of members on JD 11 with 3 members, we can still move along. Then, let's see. Had a great time over Christmas seeing family. Had usual contacts throughout the community. Let's see. Kevin Nelson's retirement on December 30th, which was a nice event. On the 31st, we had that special board meeting to talk about housing funding, and I did follow up with Jim on safe routes to school in Janesville. One of their outgoing board members is concerned about the safety of crossing the public or the county road at the edge of Janesville there, right by the nursing home. Safe routes to school goes across there, and that particular board member is interested in some signage or whatever on the road. And Jim explained the situation to me and what our responsibility was and our willingness to say, absolutely, put something up. But you have to walk through the steps. We're happy to do our part in it. And it's okay that it's our road, but you guys have to decide that that's what you want to do. And so it's in their hands right now. On Thursday, January 2nd, I met with MDH staff. They came down to Waseca here and we had a lunch meeting and talked about my 2-year term as SHAC president or SHAC chair and some of the routines we were going to adopt there. That was very helpful. And yesterday I had a joint leadership team meeting, a virtual one, first of the year with new members for MDH, SHAC, and LPHA. And we had some good discussion, got to know the new members, and are getting our priorities in line for funding and legislation for public health. And here we are today. I met with Iosco Township. That's one of the reasons I came on a little bit later than I preferred. Had a good discussion with them. The Board of Equalization was part of that discussion, and also about broadband up here in the north. We had some discussion about broadband development and what the board might be willing to consider looking at moving forward, and some of the new ISP partners that we have within the company that could be an alternative in a fixed wireless way for folks in the northern part of the county, even now, without taking any further action. You should look at this company. They have some better processes for us. So I had a good discussion with them. One thing, 2 things that came up. We're meeting with the townships coming up on campus.
Yeah.
There was some discussion about that might be a good time to give a brief overview of the Justice Center jail compensation. They are very interested in the numbers, what's available for jail cells around us, what would it cost per year per inmate if we did this, what does it cost if we don't? Just not to take over the meeting, but this would give us a chance when we have township people all in the room and they are our local leaders, where we could make sure that they have that information. I did point them to the article in the Pioneer about it. But they suggested that might be a time when they they could all get in the loop on that and understand it a little better. One of the things that was really stuck in their craw was the lack of notification to the township board when those, when that appeal came with the Board of Equalization. Asco Township said that the board did not get notified that that was gonna come, that was, their decision had been appealed. I don't know,
The notification for them to come to the meeting,
the
notification afterward.
no, the notification that their decision was being formally appealed to us.
Okay.
I don't know what that process was. I don't know if that is true, or I don't know if there was miscommunication on our part, their part, somewhere in between. But anyway, I still think there's gotta be a better way for us to help our folks, including our boards, understand what goes on there. But I just thought I would mention that, and
Well, that's supposed to be another winter meeting that Brock is working on.
Awesome.
And it's possible that we just need to do all of these things at the same time.
yeah. We had a robust conversation about equalization. So that's, sorry to dive down.
Are they just sitting there waiting for someone to hand them the message or
Well,
the information?
I
Or are
think
they
normally,
reaching?
that was an anomaly to be appealed like that. I've never seen it either.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I suppose they just didn't get the notification that it was being appealed. Right? So that's what they're after.
They
So
thought
they
as,
could come to the meeting.
they thought as a board, because their board decision was being appealed, that they as a board should have been notified that there was an appeal of their decision. I think, they had a board member here because he was related to one of the people whose decision they had changed. One of the valuations they had changed, and that's how they found out about it, instead of directly from our assessor's office. Your decision is being appealed. If you want to come and defend that decision, come before the board. I don't know if we have an obligation to do that. I don't know what the rules are there, because as you said, it's kind of an anomaly that they would take on changing values.
Well, we did have two board members here
We did, one of them,
left.
yes, and the other one's related to one of the values that were changed. So, it was just one of the sticks on the camel's back, just one of them.
Confident that there is no administrative rule that says we need to inform them.
And I,
A decision is being challenged. That's why the meeting exists, to begin with, which is very heavily publicized.
Yeah, and that's just same way from here up. Somebody challenges our decision to the state, we don't get notified that it's being appealed, right? That's their process. Appeal.
So our first notification is from district court that there's an appeal for it.
Okay, let's move on. Yes.
Okay. 17th was 17th was we set the levy. 18th of December was EDA in the morning. Stopped by and chatted with the sheriff later that day. Friday the 20th was GD 11 ditch meeting. The 23rd was the P&Z meeting. On to the 30th, HRC, South Central Human Relations, which is getting a new name. The name is Sparrow. The 31st was our board meeting, and the 2nd of January was Planning Commission in the evening. And just quickly, back to our legislative agenda. I don't know if it was mentioned about EMS. that still needs to be on our, and I still have ditches on my mind as far as toning the, legislative group down on regulations, not pushing them.
Additional.
Right, yeah. And I don't know if broadband has to be mentioned at all, or monumentation. I haven't said that word for a while, so I didn't want you guys to feel that I'd forgotten about it, but, just some ideas. So, that's it for me.
Thank you. And a lot of this is repetitive, right? But December 17th, of course, we had Mid Prairie after morning meeting. I had lunch over in Dodge County and then our meeting in Dodge. Then the levy meeting that evening, set our levy. 18th was EDA meeting, 20th was Joint Ditch 11. 23rd was P and Z. And then after that, I met with Tom Sexton and Chris Howard, talk the Drexland situation over. 27th was I had a Zoom with Leota over at South Country Health Alliance because I did move into the chair on that board this year. 30th, I had Kevin Nelson retirement, and then HRC with Commissioner Krause. And then on the 2nd was the South Country Health Alliance meeting where we made the transition. And then yesterday was Joint Ditch 5 and 10 redetermination of benefits kickoff for those two ditches. So that brings us to today, where we met also with the sheriff. So, all right, with that, if there's nothing else to come before the board, I would look for a motion to adjourn. So moved. There's a second. Moved by Commissioner Hargett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Miller. There you go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There you go.